Welcome back, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. Next up, I'm pleased to welcome to stage Hardy Boeckle. He's the head of economic development department for the German embassy in Washington, D.C. He spent a career in the German Foreign Affairs Office and has worked on European policy, economic issues, as well as relations with China. Before coming to Washington in 2021, Hardy was responsible for relations with Southern EU member states at the Foreign Office in Berlin and previously served as a press spokesperson for Germany's permanent representation at the EU. Today, he's speaking about the industrial transformation towards climate neutrality, the German way. With that, without further ado, please welcome Mr. Boeckle.
Professor Greg Gangi, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the kind invitation to this Clean Tech Summit 2022. I very much enjoyed the discussion of ways towards climate neutrality, and it's a privilege for me to present some elements of the German way. Last December, just 3 months ago, the new German government and also the German industry have set up their plans on how to lead Germany towards climate neutrality. Russian gas was planned to play an essential role in that strategy, at least for the next 10 to 15 years. This is no more feasible. Because of the terrible war in Ukraine, the transformation will have to follow a different pace. Thousands of victims, millions are forced to flee their homes, this destruction of infrastructure in Ukraine. Chancellor Scholz held a governmental declaration only 3 days after the invasion on 27th of February, in which he declared Germany at a turning point concerning security policy. He gave up the traditional German culture of military restraint, and he speeded up towards renewables, energy efficiency, and other sources for our fuels than Russian. The Western community has imposed sanctions against Russia. The US, the EU, UK, the G7, and many more Western democracies have engaged in a path towards disconnecting Russia from international trade, technology, travel, and finance. The question today is, how fast can we stop the import of fuels from Russia? The short answer, we Europeans cannot do it overnight. Germany and other member states traditionally have been relying heavily on fuel and commodity imports from our big neighbor, Russia. Germany traditionally imports 55% of its gas, 50% of its coal, and 35% of its oil from Russia. These are figures of 2020. And some EU member states even more. The new German government, with Chancellor Scholz, is determined to reduce this dependency as fast as possible. However, the faster you cut the import of fuels and commodities from Russia, the bigger the impact on price levels, on our economies, on our companies, on our jobs, on the weakest in our societies, and not only in Germany, but effects will spill over to other areas and markets. An immediate stop of imports from Russian gas would drive up prices for energy, fertilizer, and basic foodstuffs. And if we in Germany experience a severe economic recession with high unemployment and general discontent, in Africa, whole cities would fall short of energy, famine, and crime would arise. That is why on energy imports, Germany follows an evolutionary approach, not the Big Bang. However, our economics minister Habeck is extremely active these days Germany is already winding down its oil and coal imports from Russia in order to achieve independence from Russian. At the moment, only 4 weeks after these efforts, these numbers are the imports from Russia of gas went down from 55 to 40%, of coal from 50 to 25%, and oil from 35 to 25%. So there's a huge effort already in Germany to replace Russian oil, gas, and coal. By the end of this year, we hope that Germany will be independent from Russian oil and coal. The independency from Russian gas will take longer. Some calculate it might take even 2 years. And this does, the President of the European Commission, my colleague Dagmar, said it today, this morning. The objective of the Commission is that by 2027, the EU should be independent from Russian oil and gas. But this does not mean that by then Europe can do without gas. We will still need gas for our industry and homes. It just has to stem from other world regions. What does Germany do to decrease our dependency on Russian fuels? First, we intend to dramatically accelerate the shift towards more energy efficiency. This means less energy consumption. Second, we speed up the switch to renewable energies. The more we use renewables, the better we enhance our geopolitical security and reach our climate objectives. You may say the high prices for oil and gas are the right incentive to speed up the trend towards renewables. That is right. However, the high prices also signal how important hydrocarbons are still today for us and for the foreseeable future. In fact, there are different timelines. In the short term, we still have to use coal and gas to produce energy. And we will keep some coal gas power generation in reserve. Industry and millions of households will still need gas as an energy source. We diversify our imports instead of the relatively cheap pipeline gas from Russia. We explore an increase by our gas suppliers number 2 and 3, Norway and Netherlands, and we buy LNG, liquid natural gas, in the US and in Qatar. Our economics minister, Robert Habeck from Green Party, was extremely actively traveling to these countries in the recent days. We will construct 2 additional LNG terminals in Germany, 8 to 10 gigawatt each, and use floating LNG terminals already by the end of this year for 27 gigawatts. And we increase storage capacities for gas and coal. Remember, even in 2030, we cannot do without gas. In the contrary, for climate protection reasons, in order to replace dirty coal and nuclear energy, which is in Germany viewed as dangerous, we had originally planned for 2030 to use even more gas than today. That was one of the reasons we constructed Nord Stream 2. Before Putin's war, we originally had calculated to use double as much gas in 2030 than today. On a parallel timeline, Germany accelerates the switch to renewable energies. You may ask how an industrial country like Germany, where 26% of GDP stem from industrial production, will be able to switch to renewables without deindustrializing and without unbearable social cost. Moreover, Germany is densely populated and does not enjoy so much sun because it's situated quite in the north. Well, the new governing SPD Green FDP coalition in Berlin has set the objective for 2030 that 80% of our energy should come out of renewables. Today, we lay around 50%. We aim to cut CO2 greenhouse gas emissions by at least 65% vis-à-vis to 1990. This coordinates, of course, with the Fit for 55 program our colleague from the European Commission, Dagmara, has presented this morning. Which are the instruments for this, to aim these objectives? It is CO2 pricing, regulation, and financial incentives. Our measures concern power generation, mobility, buildings, industry, agriculture. We look at the whole circular economy, and there will be social elements for just transition. I would like to give you some examples. First, CO2 pricing, greenhouse gas pricing. Within the European Union, we count on the emission trading system, which exists since 2005, and that works on the basis of CO2 market pricing. Main polluting industries, such as energy, heavy industries, aviation, have to buy pollution rights at a CO2 market price. Another example, the gasoline price in Germany is at €2.20 per liter, which corresponds around $9 per gallon. This provides a strong incentive for climate-friendly mobility. Examples for governmental regulation. The federal states in Germany are required to reserve at least 2% of their surface for wind turbines. According to the coalition treaty, all suitable roof surfaces of individual houses in Germany that are newly built must be used for photovoltaic starting in 2025. From 2025 onwards, instead of gas heating systems, regenerative heat pumps should be installed in private houses. Third, financial incentives. Chancellor Scholz has pledged a new 200 billion euros for the German Climate and Transformation Fund to subsidize building insulation, the acquisition of electric vehicles, the research in the area of hydrogen, and the qualification of skilled labor in the area of renewables. A lot is going on in Germany, above all in the mentality of our population. Our population that is more and more climate friendly and is demanding climate friendly products. A population that has voted for a much more ecologic oriented policy. Fridays for Future is an example which is extremely popular in Germany. My two daughters, I had really problems to keep them at school on Fridays. The investment in German automobile manufacturer, the investment of German automobiles manufacturers who respond to an increase in consumer demand is another example. We are convinced that with technology and with international cooperation, we can achieve our goals. Right. We do not strive for national energy autonomy, but for international diversification and cooperation. How do we deal with the problem of carbon leakage? We do not want to give incentives to our companies to leave Germany in order to produce in other countries with less climate regulation. Instead, we wish to protect German companies from competition out of countries that have lower production costs because of lower climate standards. That is why Germany supports the European idea of a carbon border adjustment mechanism. Germany itself proposes an international climate club that unites those countries who fulfill certain standards of climate protection. In this framework, Germany pursues international climate partnerships with third countries. We build on the climate finance delivery plan to mobilize $100 billion per year to address the needs of developing countries, as agreed at the COP26 in Glasgow. To conclude, one word on our cooperation with the United States in the area of renewable energy. In July 2021, Germany and the US have launched a US-German climate and energy partnership. It foresees 3 key areas of cooperation: to develop and coordinate climate and trade policies, develop and deploy critical energy technologies, and to assist and accelerate sustainable energy transition in emerging economies. In addition, there is a close cooperation between the EU and the US in the framework of the Trade and Technology Council on these matters. And by the way, the steering committee of this partnership is meeting these days in Berlin in the margins of the Berlin Energy Transition Dialogue. To sum up, Germany is determined to pursue the way towards climate neutrality in 2050. The new government in Berlin would have wished to get a better start than the Russian aggression in Ukraine. However, we take it as a turning point, we take it as a wake-up call, and we do our utmost to work towards peace in Ukraine, to reduce the imports of fossil energy from Russia, and to make our way towards energy efficiency and renewable energies. Thank you very much. Questions? Yeah, please.
How do you think about the relative risk of prolonged or increased reliance on Russian gas associated with nuclear? With nuclear.
Well, on nuclear power, Germany decided to leave nuclear power after Fukushima, and at least so far we stick to that decision. In Germany, we still have 3 nuclear power plants. We closed down 3 by the end of last year. We still have operative 3 nuclear plants, and they should be closed down by the end of this year. This position, at least so far, has not changed. Nuclear power in Germany at the moment delivers 6% of our energy mix, more or less, which is something. Yeah. It is a political question. You know, the Green Party stems from the movement against nuclear power in the 80s, and that's why, for the moment at least, that's how Robert Habeck, which is our Green Minister, formulates it. At the moment, we stick to the decision to quit nuclear energy by the end of this year. Yeah.
So first, I want to congratulate and thank Germany for leading this world forward in so many ways in terms of climate, really taking it seriously. I've seen your leadership for decades, and it's remarkable. One area, this is focused on industrial, but one area that I'm very focused on personally and professionally is mobility. And I was wondering if Germany had thoughts on trying to get equal to the Netherlands in terms of their biking and walking, and really increasing the amount of use for mobility of biking and walking. Great infrastructure, as we're trying to do here in the United States, we have a long way to go to catch up with you, but can you become a leader even beyond the Netherlands, perhaps?
Beyond the Netherlands, I speak under control of our friends, will be difficult for us. Of course, we are looking at all elements of mobility, including bicycles and scooters in the cities, and much has been done in creating in our cities the bicycle lanes and give priority to bicycles, and also to increase security for bicycles in the streets. Much has been done. It is definitely an element. Yeah, the measures to increase that are investment in bicycle lanes, in renting bicycles and facilities, and in still a price mechanism for gasoline. It's a very strong incentive to shift to the ÖPNV, to the metro and to the buses, to public transport. Whether we will be able to get the level of Netherlands, I'm not sure. No? I'm not sure, but you are our model.
Well, in Berlin, I spent quite some time in Berlin as well. Berlin is getting there with wide bicycle lanes.
Yeah.
Berlin is one big bicycle lane and a bit of one small lane for cars.
Yeah.
So
we are making a great
we're
effort.
getting there. Yes, but the Netherlands is flat. South of Germany, they have a lot of mountains.
Stronger legs.
Keep training.
Other questions? Yes, please.
Very loud, so hopefully somebody up there can project the question. How do you think it seems that like Germany has kind of been unified politically on the climate issue much more so than in our country? So how has Germany been able to kind of depoliticize climate and environment and actually get past that to be able to get to action?
Well, this is a whole, I think it's a whole process of change of mentalities, a process that has started in the 80s with the Green Party, and who had a hard time for decades. But with the movements of Greta Thunberg and the Fridays for Future, you know, when the parents see that their daughters, their sons, they don't go to school but go to demonstrate in front of the Reichstag, this has some effect on people, I think still on the basis there is the mentality of people that it is a problem that concerns you, and you as an individual, you can do something, you can change your behavior. And then there was this turning point with the Russian aggression against Ukraine, which I think in Germany really made a click for people that who said, yes, we have to get independent from this fossils. So let's switch to the future and to renewables, to energy efficiency. But mentality is important, is extremely important. No more questions? Yes, please.
I was reading today in New York Times, they were talking about Poland just recently going to finish construction of a pipeline from Norway. I think it's the Baltic one they called it. So I was wondering if because of the war with Ukraine and Russia, and instead of Nord Stream 2, they're thinking about constructing a pipeline from Norway as well for Germany, like that works.
Of course, Norway is for us, for Germany, it's number 2 provider of gas. Norway provides, I think, around 15 of German gas so far. So we use that. But Norway by its own is too small to provide gas for Europe. And you know, the Nord Stream is also distributing the gas. It's just arriving in Germany, but it's distributed. I think 50% of the gas is distributed to other countries. So we have to look for a solution that works for whole Europe, not only for one country. Yes.
I just left the panel around interregional transmission, and the obstacles highlighted were who pays for site build and how they share in the energy. I'm wondering how the EU addresses that, spanning across multiple countries.
Look, in Germany, at least, it's the companies who import. It's not the government. And Habeck, now our economics minister, he tries to lay the basis, but the contracts are made by the companies. And if you heard Dagmar this morning from the European Commission, she says, yeah, we should find a European solution that works for everybody. So the Commission prepares the groundwork, but finally it's the companies who are responsible for importing and make contracts.
You talked about the goal to reach 80% energy from renewable by 2030.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how, because we know renewables are very intermittent, and you have a heavy energy industry sector.
Right.
So how do you then deal with that intermittent nature? Is it storage, hydrogen, what are they?
Of course, we develop hydrogen also, but we will keep a reserve power generation by coal and by oil. Okay. Yes. Thank you very much.